call this meeting to order at 2:03 p.m. on Tuesday. And thanks everyone for coming. This is an important one because this is the one where we go through the budget, the proposed budget, and
recording in progress.
Dario, thank you. My apologies. I'm supposed to give Dario a heads up when I'm going to start. We called the meeting to order at 2:03 p.m. and I welcomed everyone. So we'll start with introductions are a little bit tough via Zoom, but I welcome everyone to this meeting, and it's being recorded so the public can in fact see who's in attendance. So we're going to move to item number 2 on the agenda. Allow me to share the agenda. And please let me know if you can see the agenda.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're at public comments. Are there any members of the public available or present who would like to comment? Okay, seeing none, we will move on in the agenda to number 3, the approval of the agenda. Let me scroll through. The agenda was sent as an attachment to this meeting. So if you want to open up the appointment request, you can have your own version in front of you. But in lieu of that, I'm expanding, or I'm putting the agenda, full agenda here on the screen. And I'll give everyone a moment to review the agenda, and then we will see if someone will make a motion to accept.
I move to approve the agenda. It's Jerry.
Jerry, do we have a second?
I second
that motion.
Oh.
Okay, I was looking away. Did you happen to see who?
Was that Latanya?
It was myself or Latanya, doesn't matter. Latanya seconded.
Yeah, we both spoke, so either one.
I wrote Latanya, if that's okay.
Okay, great. Okay, so because we are on Zoom, we do a roll call vote. So, Kay, would you mind
Yes.
taking a roll call vote?
Dr. Kirkwood?
Aye.
Okay. Garrett?
Aye.
Raymond?
Yes. Aye.
Jerry?
Yes, aye.
Okay. No, Noel?
Aye.
Thank you. Did I say your name correctly?
Yeah,
No?
that's fine.
No,
Thanks, Kate.
tell me. Please tell me.
What? Yeah, Noel or Noel, either one. Noel's fine.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the agenda is approved unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so now we're going to go to the approval of the February 23rd meeting minutes. And that document is also attached, but I'm going to put it on the screen. Can everyone see the meeting minutes?
It went
Or am
back
I
to
still-
agenda.
Yeah, we see the agenda.
I'm still on the agenda? Hang on,
Yeah.
let me go ahead and hopefully now you all can see
Yes.
the meeting minutes. So they're also attached to your Outlook request, but I'm going to go ahead and give everyone a few minutes to read through them, and then I'll scroll through. Okay, all right. You probably have had a chance to review. So would anyone care to make a motion to approve the minutes from February 23rd, 2021?
Alicia, this is your chance.
I was waiting for you, Jerry. I was gonna say it. I move to accept the minutes as recorded.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. Kay, can you please do a roll call vote for us? Roll call vote, excuse me.
Yes, Garrett,
Aye.
Raymond,
Aye.
Latanya,
Aye.
and Noel.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no dissensions, the approval of the minutes from February 23rd, 2021 meeting have been approved. Thank you all very much. Very decisive group here. I like that. Moving on to the next agenda item, campus store update. And we are very fortunate to have 3 members of the Barnes & Noble team present today. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Denise, who may want to introduce her team.
I'm Denise Nakakihara. I'm the regional manager with Barnes & Noble. And with me today is Mary, our store manager at the LAC campus, and Harold, our store manager at the PCC campus. And I think Harold is going to take the lead on the update for us.
Oh, Mary, do you want to cover that or?
I'll start with graduation, Harold, and then I'll turn it over to textbooks for you. Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for letting us join you at the auxiliary meeting. We do have a nice update prepared for you. Spring is winding down, and as you know, we've just gone through the two Cap and Go events, one at LAC and one PCC. We were excited that the campus reached out to us and asked us, I'm sorry, thank you, Daria. Thank you. I missed that. Anyways, we had the committee reached out to us and ordered 600 caps and gowns for the graduating students this year. And Harold and I were on site at the PCC event for the Cap and Go. And I have to say, I was really excited about all the energy and just everyone really just trying to make this a special day for our graduates. We got a lot of comments from students coming through as we were all, cheering them on, pom-poms. We were handing out the caps in the bags with all the swag and everything to every student as they drove through. We got a lot of comments about how they were really excited and it was really nice that everyone was trying to make this very, very special for them. And a couple weren't truly in the loop. They didn't know that it was going to be such a big deal. So that was a really nice surprise for them. And all in all, we had a really, really good day. My feedback was very, very positive. I enjoyed it. We spent 4 hours at PCC and 4 hours at the LAC event. So it went really, really well from our perspective, and we were happy to be there. We also provided 150 caps and gowns to EOPS to hand out to their students. So that was nice. They also participated as well. One of the agreements that we made with EOPS is that we were going to ship out orders individually to the students via UPS. We receive a list from EOPS a couple times each week, and then we would go ahead and ship those cap and gown orders out to each student to their homes. It went off without a hitch. It was very successful, and everyone has received their caps and gowns at this point. So tracking indicates that they have all been received, and I don't have a notification that any have been lost in transit, so that's really nice. All in all, I feel that graduation this year, though significantly scaled down from what everyone would obviously prefer, I think it went off really, really well, and the bookstore was happy to be a part of it. Any questions with regards to graduation for us before I move on?
No questions, Mary, but as the chair of commencement, I do want to thank you all at the bookstore. You all were phenomenal, and we could not have served 600 students without you actually making sure we had the cap and gowns, but you actually participated and showed up to volunteer. And so we greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Kirkwood. We had a lot of fun and it was great to be there. So let's hope we can make it a bigger event next year, but it's all right. It's all right. We did what we could. Okay, so moving on to bookstore reopening. We are following the campus's lead on what fall will look like on both campuses. At the LAC location, you know, we are hoping to reopen. We've had a conversation with Bob recently and Denise and Harold talking about what fall will look like for us. And though we still have, you know, a lot of things are still up in the air, we're fully prepared and ready to reopen on whatever level that we can. We do know that we will be open at least minimal hours through rush here at the LAC campus, and then limited hours Monday through Fridays going forward through the semester, unless things change. There's a lot of questions, as we all know, and things could change at any time, but let's hope that we're on a good path to being open consistently. We will have limited store capacity. That is the word right now. So last word that we received was about 35% of what our store capacity is. We will still be requiring masks in store. That is a given, unless things change. But we are following the campus's lead on this and fully prepared to follow all CDC and campus guidelines. Let's see, we will be doing monitoring our stores and all open to the public spaces, including not to the public spaces, for cleaning and sanitizing, and that we do have a plan in place for social distancing and line queue. So we won't have any issues there. Right now at PCC, it is a tentative plan for a bookstore reopen. We're thinking possibly a pop-up. But at this point, unless things change or we receive new information from the campus as to students and student traffic in person and seated classes and, you know, student traffic on campus. Right now it looks like a pop-up and possibly limited hours at Rush. Not sure 100%. We still have more to talk about with that. But we will be doing textbook pickup location options for online orders and trying to accommodate those students that will be at PCC, whether it's you know, we move online orders and have a pickup spot at PCC, or we do it all out of LAC. We still have some questions there, but don't worry, we will be back in some capacity at PCC, whether it's just a pop-up or limited hours, just for Rush. A lot of things are still up in the air, and we have another month before we really are prepared to finalize those plans. At this point, both Viking Express locations will be remaining closed, but should things change, we do have the ability to open them fairly quickly. It's not a long, drawn-out process. We can make that jump if we need to, but at this point, we expect them to remain closed. Question?
I also just wanted to,
Yes, please, Harold.
I just wanted to just add on to the PCC plan. You know, we realize that there's students here, and then, you know, it's often like if they don't have transportation, they got to get to the store at LAC. So that pickup location that we're going to offer for the online purchase, students can place the order online and opt to have it picked up at at PCC. So we'll bring those books over here so students don't have to make the trip to LAC, just so we can make sure that they're covered in that travel. And then, you know, while that time, we're going to be open because students are obviously going to be taking tests. That's where the pop-up comes into play. We'll have a little pop-up where students get their test supplies and whatnot. It's very rough right now. So we have rough in terms of planning, the planning stages. So we do realize that the students on this campus have a need. And we're going to try to fill that need.
Yes, absolutely.
One other question in terms of just reopening updates and capacity and updates from the county health orders, as well as our institutional processes. Do you have a point person that you're working with at the college for that information or those updates?
We receive, we have regular meetings with Bob Raposa,
Okay.
and
Perfect.
yes, and he is our point person with regards to campus communication and collaboration. So
Perfect. And yeah, and Bob is apprised of all the developments of all of our reopenings and process flow. So I'm happy to hear that. With the summer quickly approaching in a few weeks here, do we have a process for summer book pickup for students, or has that been kind of coordinated yet?
So at this time, we have a curbside pickup that is available Monday through Friday until 2 o'clock in the afternoon at the LAC campus in parking lot D. That will be remaining open until the reopen date. So we have plan in place to still provide LAC campus curbside pickup and also direct ship to home. Students can place their orders through our website, and then all they have to do is select ship or pickup, and they will receive notification of when their order is either ready for pickup or when it has shipped. That is the current plan that will stay in place until a firm reopen date is settled and decided upon.
Thank you.
Absolutely, of course. Okay. And Harold is going to take the lead on our textbook portion. Thank you, everyone.
Right. So we're fully implementing the our adoption and insight portal, which is AIP for short. That system allows faculty to submit their textbook adoptions and have it feed directly into our order system for fulfillment. That also then reflects on the website, so students can have all that information ahead of time so they can plan on what they need to purchase and what classes they need to take, just all the book information. And we also use that to send communication to faculty. So obviously not everybody turns their adoptions in on time. So we can send reminders through AIP to faculty to remind them, oh, hey, don't forget to submit your book order, so students can have that information. And usually we see about a 20 to 30% increase on every single reminder, which is good because that shows us that faculty are actually seeing it, it's actually going through and they're responding, just so we can have that information on the website and for students to have in hand to make their decisions going forward. Currently, summer 21, we're sitting at about a 90% adoptions received. So we got to clean up that little bit of 10%, but pretty good there. And those books are already arriving in store every day. So those shelves are getting set up. Fall 21, we're sitting at 39%. So we still have a little ways to go to get that all squared away. The text manager, Reed Figueroa, and I have been sending out emails to faculty to kind of get that underway. But pretty good. I think last week we were at maybe 20%. So that's moving along pretty well. So we should be good. We should be in good shape for fall 21 come the start date. So working with Campus towards low cost initiative. I don't know if you recall, not everybody was here last meeting, but I mentioned First Day, which is our all digital platform right now. So since spring this semester, we are sitting at about 110 sections participating in First Day. And what First Day is, all digital platforms, students get all their material delivered to them in their Canvas. They don't have to go to the bookstore. They don't have to go to the publisher site. They have it on the first day of class in their Canvas available to them to start work immediately. And they pay that through their fees through the cashier's office. So spring, we had 110 sections with an average savings of about $79 for each student. And that savings is based off of if they were to purchase the book and code together versus what they're paying for through First Day, because it's going to be the lowest cost that they can get, market value, anything. So it's about an $80 savings for each student going through this program. For fall, we're projected to have 140 sections, and that's based off of word of mouth, working with departments, seeing the success of that program in spring. It's now growing to 140 sections and hopefully even beyond. And this is all just to help with the low cost initiative. You know, I know the campus is going to OER and all kinds of low cost options. And this is just one of them that we have that's obviously taken off since everything's going online for COVID and whatnot. But hopefully that carries on through when we go, even when we come back, because if more and more people want to go to the online platforms, first day just makes more and more sense for everybody, And that is all I have there. You guys, any questions on any of that?
I have a question. Harold, I loved that. Is anyone from the bookstore sitting or working with OER? Like for this kind of information, to share this information and?
Yeah, so we have teachers right now who are using OER. And of course, OER, that's obviously available to the student online through PDF formats, but there are obviously some students who want to have the physical book. So
Sure.
when we know that instructors are using OER, we have a print version that's obviously way cheaper than if they were to purchase like a non-OER textbook available. We tag that as, go to class first, just so they know when they go to class, they can say, oh, the teacher, they know that it's available online for them to get without the fee, without a charge. So we do have that in our, and if teachers who want to use an online platform, we do have another OER Plus program where it's all based online and teachers can use OER materials for that. We don't have anybody who's actually using that, because we find that, at least in my experience, everybody who's using OER, they're using like a physical book or a PDF. They're not necessarily using an online platform. So that hasn't taken on yet. But yeah, we definitely do have OER, and it's just Reed or I who kind of coordinate that as of now.
Okay, so Leslie Forehand is the new OER coordinator. She takes over this, yeah. And I'm gonna reach out to her because I think we need to have a better collaboration, just so they know what you're doing, that you know what they're doing, and we can promote each other. So I'm gonna just make myself a note, and Leslie Forehand is the person that's gonna reach out to you. It's a she, and she is one of our newer faculty. She teaches architecture, but I think
I work with her. I work with her in getting the software. So yeah, Leslie and I know each other. I didn't know she was a OER coordinator. So that's good.
She just, yeah. So Allison's term was up and Leslie applied and was selected. And so going forward, Leslie will be the incoming OER coordinator. And I know that there's some opportunities for her to work this summer. So terrific. I'll just put a bug in her ear, a good bug. And that would be great. I just think that would be really great. Wow, great numbers. Good for you guys.
Thanks, Jared. Appreciate that.
Sure.
Thanks, Harold and Mary. I would just add to this that with the adoption rates, so that in case we have anybody new here, I don't know if our student large members are aware of this. So the reason we do the adoptions is really important. By doing the book adoptions, there's a giant pool that Barnes & Noble has for all their schools, and that all these books that are returned go into this pool. And then based on which colleges adopt books more quickly, they get a larger portion of those used books over to those schools. So it behooves us to get the book adoptions in as early as possible, because then we get more used books in those courses that can then lower the cost to our students here on campus. Harold, Mary, Denise, if I've misspoken on that, please let me know, but that's kind of the importance of book adoptions as far as I know.
No, you nailed that.
Said perfect.
Oh, go ahead, Harold.
No, I was saying that was perfect. That is exactly what we want to say.
Right. And I would just add one other piece of information to that, and that is, as your partner, we, of course, publish all of that book information on our website, including the ISBN and the pricing, which keeps LBCC 100% compliant for those courses with the HEOA Act, the Higher Education Opportunity Act. So that is another reason why having those adoptions early is really critical. In the spirit of that act, the intent is that all of that information is available to students at the time they register, so they know they're all in cost for the semester between all of the courses they're enrolling in. So that's one reason why we work really, really intently on securing that information as early as possible, in addition to what Bob is saying in securing that used inventory for you.
Thank you for that, Denise. I wasn't aware of that. I'm taking a note right now. Okay, well, once again, thank you so much. I always say this, but I always feel like I need to say it. Barnes & Noble has been such a great partner for Long Beach City College, and we just so appreciate it. And we've always viewed the team members of Barnes & Noble to be a part of Long Beach City College family. And it has just been, I think, a wonderful partnership. And I actually can't wait until I can actually see Mary and Harold again in person instead of over Zoom all the time. So I don't know if they feel the same way about me, but that's how I feel.
Absolutely, Bob. Can't wait.
It's mutual, Bob.
Yes.
Thanks, Denise.
It is.
All right. Well, thank you all. Okay. If there are any further comments or questions? Okay, great. We're going to move on to agenda item number 6, S&B Foods update. Dave had a last minute issue come up, so I will speak for him. We're starting a subcommittee, and I just need to actually get the first meeting scheduled to get food service and bookstore operations updated for fall. Right now, Dave reported to me that we have a broken freezer, and unfortunately he lost quite a bit of food, so we had food spoilage. However, we do have insurance coverage for machinery breakdown through Hartford Steam Boiler Insurance Company, believe it or not, that's what it's called. And so we're filing a claim. There's a $5,000 deductible, but the cost of these walk-in refrigerators spoilage probably is going to exceed that. And if it exceeds that amount, we will file a claim. So I'm working with a claim representative right now from that company. So Dave is also very open to coming back on campus, whether it be regular hours or limited hours. You know, he's discussed, he'd be happy to say I could do breakfast between, 7 and 9 and lunch from, 12 to 2 or 11 to 1, whatever. He's very flexible. So I'm looking forward to being able to get him back on campus as well as we reopen. So any questions about food services? Okay, seeing none. Our next item on the agenda is our financial reports, and we are very fortunate to have our fiscal services team here present, and I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to them.
All right, I'd like to just introduce Chingmin Wu. She, Elise Noonan, that gives the presentations during this meeting. She was promoted to the senior accountant position in fiscal services. And she's going to give the presentation today for the profit and loss statement, trial balance, and the available balance report. But this is something that she may turn over to Chingmin Wu, who has also been promoted to the accountant position. So Elise, you can go ahead and start.
Can you guys hear me?
You may want to share your screen.
Can you hear me? You can? Okay, so the first report that I'm going to be sharing is the auxiliary available balance report. So the 3 reports that I'm going to be sharing today are as of April 30th, 2021. So for fiscal year 2021, the auxiliary budgeted $736,000 for all of their activity for the year. As of April, they've spent $281,559. A majority of this expense went to rent and salaries. Towards the end of June, we'll have the big expense for the CalPERS. And that, yeah, like I said, that one normally comes around June. So then that will bring down the remaining balance significantly. And then the next report is the auxiliary profit and loss report. So on the second sheet, it basically breaks down everything that we saw on the available balance report. It shows that we spent $122,000 on rent, this much in salaries, this much in workers' comp. So the total expenses was the $281,559.50. And then as of April, the revenue that we've received for auxiliary is $447,190. 86,000 of this is for Pepsi grants, 37 is for the auxiliary scholarships. So we have a net of $165,631.26 as of April. And then for the trial balance, it's basically the same information on the available balance and the profit and loss statement. It just has all the accounts on one report. So at the top, you'll have all your expenses, and then the bottom, you'll have your revenue. And that's basically it on my part. Does anyone have any questions?
I don't. I actually have a comment though. Elise, would you mind clicking back over to the profit loss statement? So right now, full disclosure, right now we're showing a $165,000 net revenue, or if you want to refer to it as profit, we're not a for-profit business, but I would point out that that is not going to hold when you factor in the $231,000 from CalPERS, which is billed at the end of the year. That will erase that and we will be in a deficit. There will also be additional expenses that come online. There will also be some additional revenue, but we did budget for a loss this year due to COVID-19, and we still expect that to transpire. But I just wanted to point that out to the board in clarification. But Elise, thank you so much for this. And if anyone else has any questions.
I'm going to actually report the auxiliary tax return. Let me stop sharing my screen so you can share yours, Cindy.
Thank you, Elise. Let's see. All right, can everybody see the tax return right here? Oops. Can you hear me?
Yep. We can.
Okay.
Thank you, Cindy.
Sorry, just wanted to make sure. All right, this is the tax return. Let me go ahead and show you a couple pieces. As you can see on this right here, as you can see on this, it's called the 2019 tax return, but it's for the district's fiscal year 2020. So this is July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. On here, when it comes to the revenue and expenses, it actually compares the 2 years. So fiscal year, the district's fiscal year 2019 is what they refer to here as the prior year, and the current year, fiscal year 2020 is what we're seeing here on this. And going down on here, we see for the fiscal year 2019, you see that our total revenue was $966,000, expenditures were $657,000, and our net income was $308,552. If you look at the current year, now this was the first year we were in COVID. So you can see how our revenue went from $966,000 down to $776,801. That's a difference of about $190,000. So we are affected in things like this when it comes to book sales and just a lot of other things that are happening around campus that the auxiliary is part of. I'm sorry, and here's the revenue list expenses. So again, $308,552 for the prior year and the $70,665. So that's a huge decrease when you put all these numbers together. What we decided to do on this, well, let me start first. One of the things we do on this is this basically, our tax return mimics the trial balance. It shows just the different numbers that we have out here, as you can see, with the salaries, the benefits, all of the different kinds of expenditures. Since our profit was so low and we are in COVID, what we decided to do is write a paragraph just telling the user of these tax returns that we were in COVID, and this is the type of decreases we see. I'll go ahead and let everybody read through this so you can read it. I don't need to say. And the rest of the tax return, we just go through the normal things. We answer a lot of questions because of the kind of entity we are with the auxiliary. We're a 503. Sorry. John, what are we? We're a 503C?
501c3.
501c3. I'm sorry about that. Thank you. Okay. Go through. And then we just have our normal different kinds of schedules we have through this, the different questions that we have to answer. We take a lot of the information we have and we group it together depending on the report. This is the same as we've had in prior years, and Kay was able to attach the tax return to the meeting invite you got. So if you have any questions about that, I hope everybody had an opportunity to look at it. And if you have any questions about it, you can ask now, or you can review it and ask at a later point. You can go ahead and work through Bob, and him and I will work together on this, whatever your question is. Let's start with Bob, please.
I don't have any questions. I would just point out a couple of items. First off, Cindy, thank you to you and Clifton Larson Ellen for putting this information together. And just so that the board and everyone knows, we spend more time on this, obviously, but we prepare this for the board. The other thing I would point out is we will expect to see a continued pattern of this lost revenue and probably and possibly a net loss in next year's tax return as well. So I just wanted to point that out to the board.
LaTanya Harden, who is a part of the meeting today in a different capacity, she was also very helpful on going through this, making sure all the numbers were correct and reviewing the tax return for me. So I just wanted to thank her since she is in this meeting today.
Thank you for that, LaTanya. We appreciate it.
All right, the screen has stopped. It looks like I stopped sharing my screen. Let me go ahead and share it again. I have one more thing I want to go over. What Bob and I were talking about early last week when we were discussing this meeting today, really to show folks what the numbers are. So what I did is I went through and I looked at the different fiscal years. So I started with the district fiscal year 2017. I show 18, 19, and 20, and then our current year here. I'm just going through and showing how things can fluctuate, where we can see our commission. It's basically the same. Last year, of course, it was less. And as we can see, so far this year, it's only $21,000. And you can look through each one of these. Barnes & Noble, you know, where we were relatively even with these numbers, and now all of a sudden last year because of COVID, our numbers went down and we're even lower this year with just the $238,000. And you can see through looking at this exactly what Bob talked about, that we'll have a loss this year, even possibly next year, just as we're getting back to campus. Generally, our expenses are similar. I mean, we're always going to have constants, and that's our salaries. We have utilities. We generally know what the cost of that is on our utilities, and those kind of things just don't change because we still have to have lights on. We still have to have electricity in certain buildings. And this is our rent. And our rent does go up, I believe, I think it's what, 5% each year? I don't know if Elise, Qingmin, or Latanya can confirm that for me.
Yes, it's 5% increase per the contract.
Thank you, Qingmin. And our audit's going to remain the same, and our operational expense for the auxiliary will remain the same. So there's certain things that we know will always be about the same, but other things can fluctuate depending on the supplies needed, hospitality, professional services that we may use. Memberships are generally going to stay the same. So you can see this kind of the expenses. Up here in fiscal year 2021, which is the current year we're in, I don't have the expenses here because I think having the expenses here at this point in time, because they're not the expenses for the full fiscal year, plus we have another quarter of salaries that still need to be posted to this, it would be more confusing than anything. That's why I chose not to have those here. But you can definitely see the revenue part, how it went down last year and it's even lower this year. Does anybody have questions about this piece of it?
Not so much a question, but just for the benefit of our students at large, could we maybe explain why we have rental fees, like so they can, unless they fully understand auxiliary, like who are we paying rent to and why?
Bob, would you like to take that question?
Sure. Great question, Dr. Kirkwood, and for our student trustees. So at one point in time, the district actually used to run food services and the bookstore. We now contract those out through the auxiliary, and so we receive revenue from our vendors, S&B Foods and Barnes & Noble being our two primary ones, but we also Pepsi and First Class Vending. The rent that we pay is for the space that is actually occupied in Building E for food services, i.e. the cafeteria, and then in Building I for the bookstore. So just like any other business where you would pay rent, utilities for that space, the district absorbs all that initially and then passes those costs on to the auxiliary. In a typical year when our revenue is higher, we will generate it'll be a net revenue situation, which allows us to have a surplus. We don't call it a profit because we're not a for-profit business. But then in a down year like this is where we will eat up our net revenue, and you'll see our position, our whatever you want to call it, our resources, our assets actually diminish a little bit. This is the reason we want to operate in a revenue positive manner most years, so that when we have issues like this, we can absorb those additional costs. So I hope I haven't gone on too much. I hope that's, if you have either of you have questions, please let me know.
Thank you for that. I think that was helpful.
Hey,
Yeah, thank you.
A follow-up question on that. With the losses of revenue as a result of the pandemic, we're able to utilize some of that HERF funding to offset those expenses, correct?
Yes, that is correct. So we, much like the district, if the district runs a surplus, we have that cushion, and it's the same for the auxiliary. At this point, if we were to look back at the tax return, I think you'd see we have a net positive position of about $3 million. that's going to allow us to weather this year's storm and possibly next year's storm.
All right, that's all I have for today. If no one has additional questions. All right, thank you.
Cindy and fiscal team, thank you so much for that information. It's not the fun stuff, but it's the important stuff to run in an organization and a business. So thank you so much for that. And I so appreciate you guys. Okay, next agenda item is correspondence. Kay, do we have any correspondence?
Just before I was leaving today, we received an email about the geology grant, but I didn't have any time to really go over it or draw your attention to it. So we could speak about that at the next meeting. And I know you were going to just give a little example of the grant today, but they were just, wanted to know how things were going. And we had told them that at this meeting, we would be presenting the budget. So, and I honestly didn't even get to read the whole real email. So we can add that for next week, next meeting, but we will have that.
Thanks, Kay. So our geology club, we love our geology club, by the way. They are the most tenacious group, and I absolutely dig that about them, pun intended. So the board had actually carried over their grant from the previous year because of COVID. And of course, they still weren't able to go this year. So I think what we're going to see at the next board meeting is a request by the Geology Club to honor holding over their grant for the following year. So thank you, Kay, for that. I do appreciate it. Okay, agenda item number 9, committee reports, updates, auxiliary success grant example. Okay, if you will all bear with me a minute, I apologize, but the internet being what it is, I've shut down Outlook to try to save my computer some brain space. So I'm going to go ahead and open that back up so that I can bring up a couple of examples that Kay had so graciously created for us. So let me give you an example of, student success grant. Okay, so.
Did you get it? Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to, would this be the Geology Club application?
Yes, and yes.
Right.
Yes, because one of our students was asking last time just about how the grant works. So we were going to show an example of one of the applications, and it has their budget worksheet attached to it. And actually the budget worksheet is a separate attachment, but they are both in this one.
Thank you, Kay, for attaching
the
this.
application.
Can everyone see my screen in the grant application?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So you can see that this is the application, and what they've done is they've cut and pasted into it. So we give out these grants, and this is the way the process works. So we put it out there, we email these grant applications. ASB helps us get that information out to all the clubs that are certified. They have to be certified clubs on campus. They then submit their applications, and we will have a group that reviews these applications and determine which grants we will award. So we ask for questions like this: the project title and what's it about, how it serves the needs of our students, and how it will enhance student involvement. We ask for a justification. We also ask them for a budget. So this is actually a great exercise to learn about how to put together proposals. And as you can see with this group here, their total budget was $9,320, or it looks like, actually, I'm sorry, $8,920. Kay, I am forgetting, and this is shame on me, but is the limit $10,000 for the grants?
Yes,
or Jerry?
it is.
Okay.
Or Jerry, yeah, Jerry's your expert.
Jerry is my expert. So Jerry is one of our individuals that sits on the committee that reviews these grants.
And on this one, the evaluation committee had decided not to fund the, was it $400 for teach? There was something there that's marked out the 400.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's what brought the total down, but.
Thank you for pointing that out, Kay. And the committee can decide to fund all or any portion of the grant. So that is our example of a grant and the actual application. Are there any questions on that? Jerry, any comments on that? You are our resident grant expert, the guru of grants, as we like to call her.
Wow. Wow. Okay. I want that on a door someplace. Just that I think it's important as people and just for the students' knowledge, you know, it can come from a club, it can come from an individual, it can come from a department, it can come from a faculty member. So we get lots of people interested. $10,000 is a nice chunk of change. And so people tend to have really robust ideas about how they'd like to spend that. I think going forward, though, we just need to make sure that we're checking in because the ASB provides grants for different programs. The foundation provides grants for different programs. So I just think it's really important that we kind of know who's getting what. So if they've already gotten a grant from the ASB, you know, maybe the ASB grant didn't provide all the funding that they needed for whatever they wanted to do. So I just think we need to continue that collaboration so we know, you know, who's kind of getting what and what's been paid for and maybe what we don't have to pay for or maybe what we need to pay for because the other grants wouldn't cover it. So just conversation is all, but it's a wonderful opportunity for folks on campus to come up with really creative ideas. So yeah, thank you to Pepsi and the auxiliary.
Garrett and Raymond, I don't know if either of you are matriculating at the end of this school year. If you're not, if either or both of you will be here in the fall, we would love for you to help us get the word out to the student groups about these grants.
Yeah, I'll be here. I was gonna say, unfortunately, I think this is gonna be my last semester here. Yeah, I plan to go to university next fall.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. But Raymond said he'll be here, so Raymond will help us get the word out.
Yes, and if you see me at the Cap and Go event, you know I get the word out.
He does in fact do that. He was a wonderful, wonderful student assistant to have on site.
Wonderful. Raymond, thank you for that support. And Garrett, congratulations. It's big events, absolutely. Okay, old business. We don't really have any old business. Most of our old business we cover in the rest of the agenda. Next agenda item after that is our new business. And we have the nominating committee for the at-large students selection. And that committee usually falls to Dr. Kirkwood and myself. And we would like to know if the board, at the board's pleasure, that the two of us would continue that to recruit. And hopefully we'll have Raymond, sounds like we'll have Raymond on board, and we're very thankful for that. But we'll have to recruit one additional position if the board sees fit to leave us in that role. Okay. No news is good news. I'm going to take that as yes. The next item is the 2021-22 budget. So I am going to share my screen with the board, and this is a little bit more complicated than years past, but the reason I did this was, you'll notice, can everyone see my screen? Okay. You'll notice this is year-to-date information as of April 30th, 2021. This was our original budget, but then in September, I provided this revised budget, which the board approved. So what I did here is normally we would just have this column, these columns, but I added these columns because the board approved an adjusted budget. So not to go too much depth, I just wanted to give you a quick recap. You can see commissions are down. Our total revenue to this point is $447,000. On the adjusted budget, we had predicted $482,000. So we probably will come in a little bit above what we had projected, but it looks like our adjusted budget revenue was fairly accurate. In terms of expenses, our expenses year to date are $281,000. The initial budget that was approved was $736,000. We're lagging by $455,000, which is a good thing. But again, that's somewhat misleading because we've got the PERS expense, which hits at the end of the year. On the revised budget, we had agreed to cut expenses by $20,000. So we hope that we will not have as severe of a shortfall. Okay.
So small, so many routes. So then let's go to the wave, because the wave is a bigger piece.
I think that's the black wave.
Okay. So what I would like to present is final column, which is our draft budget that we are seeking approval from the district or from the board for this year. As you can see, we're projecting a return upward of revenue, but not the full return to previous levels. So whereas our original budget prior to COVID, we had projected $911,000 in revenue, we're now projecting $618,000, which is still quite a bit better than the approved budget, revised budget from the board. Expenses will largely be the same. However, we do have this new expense. This is a requirement from GASB 68, which requires us to file this report on behalf of the auxiliary, and there'll be a $350 charge for filing that report. Excuse me, sorry. We also plan to continue to have some expenses below what they normally were. So we do hope to see some cost savings as well. I did want to point out though, and it just occurred to me, Elise, we should have a net positive balance for the Pepsi grants. Is that, I don't know if Elise is still here or not.
I'm here. So the Pepsi grants, we still unused, we still had about 86,000, but every year you only budget for 50,000. So I think when we only budget for 50,000, once all the expenses finally trickle in and get posted, we don't fully expense that 50,000. So all of that gets carried over. So to date, we have 86,000 in unused scholarships. So if you anticipate more, I would say Pepsi grants for 2022, then maybe we can increase that, or we can still leave it at the 50,000.
Thank you so much for explaining that. There may be a drop off. We're in negotiations right now with Barnes & Noble. We have to renegotiate our contract. It will expire in June, and we're going to renew for 1 year, kind of see what happens with COVID. We could see a reduction to that $50,000 as part of the negotiations. I'm going to leave it to the board. Right now, I'm putting it at 50,000 in that line. We do have additional funds. If the board would like, we could increase that line. And so I am now going to stop sharing. And so this will actually be an action item for the board. And the question at hand is whether or not you will make a motion and approve the budget, or if you want to make an amendment to the budget, that is also possible. So I'm seeking a motion on the budget as presented.
This is Jerry, so moved.
Okay, so Jerry, you're making a motion to approve the budget as submitted. Okay.
Do we have a
you? Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. Kate, can we please do a roll call vote?
Yes. Latanya?
Yes, agree.
Noel?
Aye.
Raymond?
Aye.
Are you still there? Okay, and Garrett?
Aye.
Is Garrett there? Okay. Is that everyone?
Me, aye.
Oh, Jerry, I'm sorry.
That's all
I
right.
didn't call on you because, okay, since you were the first one. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, and then Dr. Kirkwood,
Yes.
she seconded it. Okay.
All right, thank you, everyone. So we will consider the budget approved. So that will become our official budget for the upcoming fiscal year. And thank you, everyone, for that. Okay, moving right along. Future dates for meetings. Our next meeting will be in September, on September 28th, 2021, so fall. And it could be a scary meeting because we could be back on campus after COVID. So then we'll have a meeting on November 23rd, 2021. The September 28th meeting, I believe we approved the grants at that meeting. Or is that November? I'm gonna have to go back and check. But we'll have at-large students, if we have a new at-large member, director, that'll be in September. And I believe we'll also approve the grants in September. Okay, sorry.
Jerry, we usually don't approve them until November. Or is that what you said, Bob? I'm sorry.
No, he said September, but I think it is November. We usually promote it in September, October, then we have a meeting that we review them, and then they're usually approved at that board meeting in November.
Thank you for clarifying.
You're just excited to spend money.
I am. I want to go on a trip with the geology club.
Who doesn't? I agree.
Okay, under new business, we also do have something that I would like to address because I believe we have a couple of impending retirements, and we could have this could be our last meeting for a couple of people. I'm going to turn this over to some individuals who may have announcements they'd like to make.
Go for it, Jerry.
Cindy. Oh, I'm sorry, Kay.
And Cindy. Go ahead.
Hi. This is my last meeting.
Yeah, this will be my last meeting, but I'll have a good person lined up for you.
We appreciate it. I want to say thank you so much to Jerry and Cindy. You have added so much to the auxiliary. You provide incredible information, help with the grants, financials. You make sure that you put up with my tomfoolery at the meetings. So you both deserve like a special award for all that, but especially for serving our students so well. So thank you both so very much.
Thank you. I started preparing Elise for giving the presentations at this meeting last year, just in case. So she's available for that. And of course, John is always available to do those too. So you guys will be in good hands.
Yeah, Elise is fantastic. And we're looking forward to working with Elise and Ching Min as well. But we will miss Cindy very much. And we will miss Jerry a great deal. And now we're going to have to train someone new on the grant process.
Yes. Thank you both so much. You are instrumental to this process for so long. Ever since I've been here, always helpful, always knowledgeable. So much appreciated. Thank you both.
Thank you.
You're retiring, right? Hey, you're retiring.
Yes. Yes, I am.
And I just joined this group, but I do know the wealth of knowledge and institutional memory, history, contributions that you each have made. So thank you all for doing that and your contributions to the college. They've been invaluable.
And a great place to be.
Yes, and I want to thank you for mentioning Kay. I was saving Kay for last. As everyone knows, Kay is the really the brains of the auxiliary operation, and some would argue of entire business support services. So Kay, I want to thank you professionally and personally for all you've done for keeping me organized and keeping me on task with the auxiliary. It wouldn't have happened without you, Kay.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. And I will miss all three of you very much.
And their smiles.
Yes. Okay, our next agenda item is student voices and announcements. So I'm going to turn this over to Raymond and Garrett.
I'm gonna turn it over to Garrett.
What was that?
Do you have anything that you wanted to report to the board?
No, I think I'm good. And I was just say, I guess this will be my last meeting as well. And just want to say that it was nice meeting you all, and it's been a good experience. I feel like I've learned a lot about just kind of the inner workings of the college and stuff. And thank you for being welcoming to me. And yeah, just this is what I have to say. Thank you.
Garrett, thank you so much for serving on the board. We've so appreciated having you. You've been a great addition to the team. And we wish you the best of luck on your next journey.
Thank you.
Exciting stuff. Is it Berkeley?
Oh, no. Yeah, actually, no, I didn't get into the colleges I really wanted to get into, but it's all good. No, I'm going to be going to San Diego State.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Good weather, great school.
That was my school. That's where I graduated from.
Oh,
You're going to love it in San Diego.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we're so proud of you.
Yes, congratulations, Garrett. When Bob and I met with you, we knew you'd be a great addition to the board, and you have definitely been that. Wishing you all the best, and don't be a stranger. Remember, you're a Viking always, and so check back in. Let us know how you're doing, because I think you're going to have a great experience at San Diego State as well. It's a great college.
I appreciate it, and yeah, being at LBCC, it's been an awesome experience.
Congratulations, Garrett. Thank you again. Okay, we're almost done here. Any member comments? Okay. All right, seeing none, the last item on the agenda is adjournment. So I'm going to adjourn this meeting at 3:11 p.m. I want to thank everyone for showing up. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. And happy graduation to all of our fantastic students.
Yay.
Congrats to all.
Wonderful. Thanks, Bob. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.